Welcome to the tutorial for the Michelle Jewellery Roll. This is a simple pattern that can be completed by a beginner sewist and shouldn't take more than a couple of hours or an afternoon. The first step is to cut out your paper pattern and pin the pattern pieces to your fabric so you can cut them out. Then you're going to need to cut and fuse the interfacing to the wrong sides of the external and lining pieces of the main panels. You'll also want to do this with the button strips. Once all your pieces are ready, we'll be able to move on to the first step of making this jewellery roll. Base the wadding to the wrong side of the main exterior panel. You can do this by pinning it to the exterior panel and then stitching all the way around the outside. When you're basting, it's a good idea to lengthen your stitch length as you'll take that out at the end. Now cut into the areas on the paper pattern piece that are marked as the zip. Then pin this pattern piece to the right side of the lining. Stitch around the area inside the bit you've just cut out, as close to the paper as possible. If you catch the paper, don't worry, as this will tear off at the end. Inside the area you've stitched, draw a line across the centre with a V shape at each end, shown in the video here. Then, using a small pair of sharp scissors, cut along that line that you've created and at the V at each end. Make sure not to cut the stitching, but get as close to it as you can. Fold under the cut pieces along the stitched outline to the back of the lining. Ideally, you won't be able to see the stitches as they should be on the fold of the fabric. Press this well, or secure them with double-sided tape if you need to. Now it's time to make the pocket. Take the pocket piece and lay it in front of you right side up. Place the top edge of the zip tape along the short top edge of the pocket piece, aligning the edges. The zip and the fabric are both right sides up. Pin it in place and stitch along the length as close to the edge as you can, about 2 to 3 millimeters. Then flip the zip over so the back of the zip is visible. Take the bottom edge of the pocket, fold it upwards, aligning it with the unstitched edge of the zip tape and pin it in place. Again, stitch close to the edge, about 2 to 3 millimeters away. Repeat this with the second pocket. Now it's time to attach the pocket. With the zip right side up and facing you, run a line of double-sided tape along both long edges of the zip tape. Peel off the backing paper and position the zip beneath the opening you made in the lining. You'll want to take your time to get the zip centered, repositioning it as you need to. Again, make sure to repeat this with the second pocket. Then flip the pocket bag up under the zip with the right side of the lining facing you, begin to stitch. You'll want to start on the right hand side and leaving long threads, stitch along the short edge of the zip about 3 millimeters from the opening. Pivot at the corner and continue stitching along the long bottom edge. Then pivot again and stitch the short edge on the left hand side. Stop stitching and leave long threads. Then take the threads through to the back like this and knot them to secure. Then flip the pocket down behind the zip and stitch along the top edge of the opening, finishing off your rectangle. Again, leave long threads at the start and finish, take them through to the back and knot to secure. Finally, stitch the sides of the pocket together. Make sure again to repeat this with the second pocket. Now we move on to the button strips. Take the interface fabric button strip piece, fold 1 centimetre in on both short ends and press. Fold the piece in half along the length and press, open out, and fold those 2 long edges into the centre. Stitch around all 4 edges of the button strip and then add 2 buttonholes as indicated by the pattern. Using a seam ripper or a sharp pair of scissors, open up the buttonhole. Once the strips are complete, use the guide to determine the positioning of the buttons. Stitch these securely in place and attach the strips over the buttons. Set the lining piece aside. Take the 2 flat pieces and fold them in half, matching the short ends right sides together. Place the folded fabric on top of the wadding or the wadding on top of the fabric and pin in place. Stitch the 2 adjacent sides to the fold, leaving the end opposite the fold open. Trim the wadding down from the seam allowances on the 2 stitch sides, turn right side out and push the corners. Top stitch the 3 sides 2 to 3 millimeters from the edge, but do not stitch across the opening. With right sides together and the raw edges aligned, pin the flaps to the lining piece between the fold line markings you made at the beginning. Stitch with half a centimetre seam allowance. Then set this aside while we make the ties. For the ties, fold under one short end of each tie by 1 centimetre and press. Fold them in half along the length and press. Then fold the long edges into the centre and press again. Fold in half once more, press and pin and clip together. Again stitch 2 to 3 millimeters from the edge all the way around the tie. Pin the ties in the centre at the top edge of the exterior piece, matching the raw edges. Stitch with a half centimetre seam allowance. Now place the exterior and lining pieces right sides together. Make sure that the flaps and the ties are inside and will not get caught in the side seams. Stitch around the edge with 1 centimetre seam allowance, leaving the central third of one side open. Then remove the basting stitches so you can now trim down the wadding from the seams within the seam allowance and cut diagonally across each corner to remove the bulk. Take care not to cut into any stitching. Turn it through the opening and push the corners out. Fold under the raw edges at the opening and press. Then stitch around all 4 sides about 2 to 3 millimeters from the edge. Make sure that you catch in the opening that you left open to turn the bag through. Give the jewellery roll a final press, being sure to pay particular attention to the fold lines. Fold in the flaps, fold down and secure with the tie, and you're done. Thank you for making this notch pattern. We really hope you've enjoyed the process and we'd love to hear your feedback. If you have any thoughts, comments, or you'd like to share your images with us, please remember to leave us a review or tag us in any posts on social media using the handle @notchpatterns. We'll see you in the next video.